Hello, welcome to Tech Tips, videos about access control, fire alarm, cameras, many other topics. I made this channel because I feel like there wasn't enough resources for modern technicians working with low voltage systems. And so we're going to cover a variety of topics that will help you understand electrical and technical issues perhaps better. This is ideally for apprentices that are just starting out, but perhaps more experienced journeymen can learn something from this as well. Today I'm going to go over a solution for a camera system and a real-world application and how relays and programming can help you overcome some of these challenges for your customers. So the customer was a construction site. They have a camera. They had several cameras. The cameras all monitored a construction zone, and they want the camera to monitor for motion. And so when the camera sees a person violating the zone being covered, they want to contact local authorities, or really you can contact anybody, but they wanted a automated response. The problem is the camera's going to be watching all the time. You don't really want the camera just to trigger an alarm during normal business hours or while construction's happening at the site. So of course, most people would say program the DVR to only set the alarm off during weekends or at night. But this was a busy site, and oftentimes they work weekends, they would work nights, they would have odd schedules. So they had to have the alarm event only contact police when the system was activated, when they chose to activate it, and that could have been at any time. So they wanted to just enter a code and have that happen. The problem was the software would not allow just random users to walk up, log in, and make changes. That would be too much of a process. They just wanted to give someone a 4-digit code, 4-digit PIN, and activate the system when it was necessary. And so the logical solution would be to use a security system. A Vista 20 made by Honeywell was what they had on site. And so simply punching in a code in the keypad would arm the system, and then this would allow the DVR. So let's say someone walked in front of the camera 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday. The DVR notices it, picks up the motion, it contacts the Vista 20 security system, and then the Vista 20 tells the DVR, go ahead and set it off. Here's the problem. The DVR and the Vista 20, these are made by different brands. They're engineered completely differently. They're not compatible. From an electrical perspective, wiring the Vista 20 with a zone terminal straight to the DVR and one of its zone outputs would immediately trigger an alarm. That there was no way to keep it in a normal state and then have the security system tripped by the DVR. It's just some weird fluke of the two brands. So we cannot make a direct connection between these two. That's fine. We also have a device called an encoder. This encoder is specifically designed to be an interface between different brands and different electrical tolerances. So the encoder will take the signal from the DVR and say, camera senses motion, DVR says, hey, this is a violation of this area, sends the signal to the encoder then sends the signal to the Vista. Now, the real issue becomes, how do you then trip the actual alarm? Because it's a little bit of a headache the way this particular panel was set up. It didn't have a reliable way to trigger a relay on the event of an alarm. I think in this case, they were using the other terminals for something else. It was not simple to get a consistent alarm output to go to the DVR. So what we ended up doing, just as a simple workaround, because this was a site that I had to go to on a travel to another site, so it was just stop in for a day, and I didn't have a long time to set up, the tech support and figure out what's the best solution. And this was quick and dirty. This was just get it done to get it done. So we have this little device called a relay. Most everyone knows what a relay is, but part of what this channel is about is helping you decide and learn how to use these tools. So we'll just very quickly elaborate on the relay. So you've got a box. These are made by different brands, different designs, all different types. Let's just say you have 12 volts DC on a pair of wires or a pair of terminals. This is what's called the coil. So the voltage doesn't matter. These relays can be tripped on 120 volts AC, 12 volt DC, 24 volt DC, any combination of those. They're made in all different styles. So the voltage simply activates the relay, and here you have, say, 3 wires, a common, normally open, normally closed. So, pardon my horrible writing, I'm not a drawing expert. So when the voltage is applied, these switch. So you have a wire going somewhere, and then you have a wire on normally open. These are kept apart. So let's say you've got a siren. I'm just going to use a bell here. And so the siren goes off when 12 volts is applied. So you have a 12 volt DC power source. One leg of that goes in on the common, and it's also paralleled with the leg off the bell here. And then the bell just goes straight to the normally open, like so. And then the other side of the 12 volt DC also goes here. Now, when something's activated, another electrical system, a completely different power source, whatever, is programmed to activate this relay, then this wire becomes attached like so. So essentially we're just switching internally. It's going from one to the other. And so it's usually a physical switch. It's something that's actuated by an electromagnetic coil. So you think of it as a light switch. Instead of a light switch being operated by your hand, the switch is being operated by electromotive force. So then the voltage coming from here passes through the common, jumps to the normally closed, which actually allows it to flow to the bell. So common normally open, these are held apart. Common normally closed, these are shorted together, and the circuit is allowed to complete. Maybe in another video we'll go over a little more detail on this and some of the different combinations. That was just really quickly to break that down. So the relay has its coil side landed on the same terminals as the alarm output of the security panel. So when the person types in the code, they arm the security panel. Then when this motion is violated, the output goes to the DVR. It's wired to this encoder device. The encoder goes over here and tells this panel this zone that it's landed on is an alarm. That generates the alarm output, which may have a siren, it may not, but it produces 12 volts DC consistently only after the person's armed it. That closes the relay, which goes back to the encoder, because again, it's creating the barrier between the two systems. And then that generates the output to the DVR to say, hey, we got the signal. Now you're allowed to actually send an email to the head of security, send an email to the site manager. It can contact anybody at that point. But this is what was necessary to kind of make all this communicate. You might say, why not just have the encoder, why not just have the relay talk directly to the DVR. Again, it came down to, for some reason, this would not trip this reliably. It had to go through this encoder. It was kind of a mess. Let's leave it to say I only had 6-7 hours to troubleshoot this, figure out how to make that work, test it, train the customer on it, walk out the door and go somewhere else. Very often it's going to be a time crunch, and so you have to understand how these work and how the different components work together, what's trying to be accomplished, and then produce the result in a relatively short amount of time. And so that's the daily life of a tech. It's a lot of fun. It's also a challenge, and I enjoy it a lot. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and there'll be more content down the road. Hopefully we'll cover a variety of topics, not just security, but also fire alarm and access control and other subjects. So if you enjoy it, just leave a comment below and let me know, and have a great day.